Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Droid Live Show, episode 39 tonight. Wow, we're getting up there. Getting
Woo,
high. Almost getting to 50, closing on that. Anyways, I'm
you're
I'm
getting high.
Kellen. Yeah. I'm Kellen, your host. With me, full cast tonight, Tim, Ron, Eric. Everybody say hi real quick.
Hey guys, how's it going? Tim here.
This is Ron.
Hey, I'm Eric.
Welcome back, Eric. You survived
I did.
last week.
23rd birthday. So
Eric's
crazy.
birthday last week. He's officially... You're not even old. You're super damn young.
I'm old compared to the rest of my college friends.
Your peers.
23 in college years is like, you should be dead.
Your Snapchat buds.
Yeah.
His
I think when I graduated, I was 23, so I'm with you on that. But I went through,
Snapchat account was
three
blowing
schools
up
in
that
5
night.
years. Yeah, I don't think we want to see any sort of... Not that there is Snapchat history from your night last week, but I'm glad that we don't have to see it.
It's just a bunch of like
That's awesome.
pumpkin beer and all that fun stuff.
Hey, stuff was delicious.
Oh, I know. I was right there with you.
All right, so... No, well, we could have a debate about sweet pumpkin beers another night, but I would have to disagree with you guys on that one. All right, so tonight's show, let's talk Kit Kat for a little bit. There was a big leak last week, shortly after we did episode 38. Some new UI changes, some stuff we just want to go over. Obviously, there was a big Nexus 5 leak over the weekend, 7-minute hands-on video, though it was mostly just of a prototype. We didn't see a lot of new stuff, but we'll talk about that for a minute. I think a couple of us want to say something nasty to Nike about their announcement over the new fuel ban to no Android support. We want to talk a little bit about T-Mobile's interesting move to kill off unlimited data. And while that may not be that big of a deal to T-Mobile customers, what does that mean for, someone like Verizon, someone on Verizon who has unlimited data? Consumer Reports is apparently huge fans of the new Droid series, and while they like the iPhones, they prefer the Droids. The One Max is now official. If anyone cares. We also have some apps and games to talk about. So, anyways, let's jump into this Kit Kat leak. So last week... Was it Tuto Android? Not actually sure how you said it. Yeah, but they dropped this huge series of screenshots with this now famous painted over finger. Did you guys notice that? The whole painted finger thing? That I don't know. It was kind of... Everyone in the comments jumped on it. Anyway, so they posted up this series of screenshots that shows our first sort of look at what we think is the closest thing to being an official Kit Kat Android 4.4 build. Now, we've seen screenshots and stuff of this version of Android before, but nothing really looked all that new or changed. And in this version, we've got a slightly tweaked lock screen with a little camera shortcut. We've got what we think is going to be called the Google Experience Launcher. So apparently a new launcher. You can add or remove home screens. It actually has a... I can't ever think of the term for this, but when you change... home screens, it has a little indicator at the bottom. Is it just called a home screen indicator? What is that called?
Yeah, this is home page indicator or something.
Page indicator, something like that. Yeah, so we've also got a transparent drawer now, new icons for stuff. The gallery has disappeared, potentially in favor of Google Photos or Google Plus Photos.
Woof.
Yeah, we've got Google Voice, new icon change. What else has changed? There's some apps that were removed, some that were added. We saw a tap and pay icon, although previous leaks showed that as payments. So it looks like tap to pay NFC payments can be just built in. New location stuff. I don't know. There was quite a bit in it. Nothing crazy dramatic, I don't say. It just looks like more fine tuning or refining. I don't know. Did you guys have a chance to look through all that stuff last week?
Definitely. Yeah, I think I'm getting more excited for it. Now that I see like there's new wallpapers coming. There's transparent navigation and notification bars. I'm getting kind of jacked, and because I just love new versions of Android, man.
Yeah.
And it's finally starting to. I think the pieces are finally starting to come together, and we're getting a good idea about what we're gonna get, and that excites me. That takes me back to like Froyo days and Eclair, and just like when you see what's coming, you just get excited for it, and that's all you can do is just be excited.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about the transparent navigation area and notification bar. It just looks nicer. We saw that with the G2.
Clean.
Yeah, we saw that in the G2 and somewhat on the Moto X, and it just looks really nice.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we saw some changes there, and then I believe it was ZDNet posted up. It almost looked like they had a build of 4.4 running on an Nexus 7 because they took really clean screenshots and took pictures of stuff. But it was also an older build, so we didn't see the transparent app drawer there. They didn't really show any home screen stuff, but they showed us what the Easter egg could be, which is an Android KitKat logo, and then this really crazy sort of mosaic tile. I don't know.
That looked kind of funky.
It did look funky. Revamped downloads app, some other tap to pay stuff. Oh, there was actually in the settings menu there was an option for home, which is not currently there, I don't believe, on any other Android device. So that's something new, which could have to do with this sort of new launcher, maybe managing that a little bit. So yeah, interesting stuff in terms of KitKat. Like you said, Tim, I feel like we're starting to get close with that leak out of Tutu Android, Tutto Android, whatever their name is. So yeah, So I don't know, exciting stuff in terms of new builds, though we don't know when it's coming, obviously.
Nothing's confirmed.
But what happened to October 15th? It was supposed to be the day.
It has come and gone. I thought it was going to be today. I woke up this morning. I saw that KitKat, there are 16 bars, and I was like, it's got to be today. I mean, you just wake up every day with a new leak or something. There's like, it's got to be today. And then the day went by, and I was like, crap. And, yeah.
Man.
Yeah, and someone asked me if I got excited for Honeycomb. Not so much. I wasn't as excited
for Honeycomb.
I mean, it was cool. That I was excited for the tablets, the Android tablet experience, but not so much Honeycomb, I think. I don't know. But
well, yeah, Honeycomb, I remember we were at, if we want to talk about Honeycomb for a second, I remember we were at CES, and there was like a Verizon keynote, and somebody brought out the Zoom as like a prototype and set it down, did a presentation, and showed a couple of things in Honeycomb, and it was a big deal. And then obviously we know the history of Honeycomb's not so good, but it had its moment.
You know, it was important though, just because bringing Gingerbread and Honeycomb together and making like an Android experience that now, you know, transcends just phones and tablets and, you know, what Ice Cream Sandwich brought to the table. And Honeycomb was an important step, whether it be half-baked or totally crappy. It was the step in the right direction, because now we have a Android OS that, you know, fits on any screen. So that's important.
Actually, that's actually an interesting point. I forgot about that. The Gingerbread and Honeycomb, that was supposed to be the merging of just one OS for all sizes. Because Gingerbread, you remember when the first Galaxy Tab came out?
Yep. The original Tab.
Yeah, and it was running
Those
Gingerbread.
horrible commercials.
Yeah. Well, it was running Gingerbread, and everyone was just going, this isn't even right. It's not even the tablet OS. You shouldn't buy this thing. And it was a terrible tablet anyway.
And we later found out from the lawsuits they were given a specific exemption from Google to get Google Play services on there. Because Google was forbidding anybody else from doing tablets with Gingerbread because they were waiting for Honeycomb.
That's right. Forgot about that too.
They gave Samsung the go-ahead anyway.
What a weird thing that was. You know what's funny? So they created this tablet UI, and now if you look at tablets now, like the Nexus 7, we're back to sort of a phone UI on tablets. But
yeah.
Well, but a big part of that too was like when they first came out with Honeycomb. I mean, you can kind of talk about that a little bit more. Like I remember, like when they first showed it off, like they only showed it off in landscape because, as far as we knew, there wasn't a portrait mode.
Right.
Eventually, there were some builds that finally had portrait mode that people were, and originally you couldn't actually like play with it. Like they had like devices you could look at, but they like just like kind of played a video or something, and eventually somebody was able to like get into the home screen a little bit. So I remember all that. But I mean, when you look at Honeycomb and even the Ice Cream Sandwich after it, like the design, like you had the home buttons on the all that stuff was on the left, and then you had your like it felt like Windows. It was just really kind of janky and crappy. And I remember as soon as I first saw it, I was like, this like that doesn't make sense to have like just put it in the middle. Like that's where it should go.
But that was when they
thought
they should move the sort of notification area bottom right, which made absolutely no sense. That didn't last all that long.
Like everything, because it felt like Windows. Like that's where all your notification crap goes on Windows, and it was just kind of weird and janky.
Yeah, that was definitely Google learning on the fly what they should do with the tablet UI, and the first versions were not good experiments, that's for sure.
Takes time.
Yeah. Let's see, the other thing with KitKat, which is actually official news, the Android developers team announced that they're introducing default SMS apps, so you could essentially set a third-party app as a default SMS app. Obviously, we think that has something to do with Hangouts, though maybe indirectly, not necessarily directly, but you could set any app you want essentially as your default. So you wouldn't have to filter everything through the stock messaging app or something like that. You just have whatever app you want, which is kind of interesting. Other than that, do you guys want to talk about all this conspiracy, potentially trolling stuff? Tim, you kind of brought it up a little bit. So if you guys have been following along for the last couple of days, the KitKat, official KitKat, Nestle KitKat, Google Plus page has been posting all these random pictures. And the first one on the 15th, which everyone for some reason thought was going to be the release day, they posted this picture that said, "Everybody dance now" or something like that, and it was a Android KitKat figurine dancing. And then today they put another picture that said, "This is it. You should look for the signs" or something like that. So everyone started looking for those signs, and the internet has come to the conclusion that October 28th is the day.
It's official.
So, I don't know what to think of all this stuff. We know Google's clever, and they like to, hide secrets and trick people and get you hype-beasting things left and right. I don't know if that's what they're doing, if people are just looking far too deep into this stuff. At this point, I have no idea. At this point, I think I'm also just having fun watching people sort of dive into stuff and create conspiracy theories over when the launch of these things are going to be, the Nexus 5 and KitKat.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you guys think about all this mess?
Why Google? I mean, they got that date from like Michael Jackson's release date and all that stuff, but this is it. And I'm just like, how does any of this have anything to do with anything? It's fun, and I enjoy it. I think it's part of the fun. It's been just hype beasting. That stuff has been part of the community for longer than I can remember. So, if they're having fun with it, then go for it. Although I don't see the necessity in news sites, like say us like reporting on it per se,
right.
Like that. I mean, when something's official, that makes sense. But until then, all the other sites, it'd be good if there was like a calming down, of hype beasting. Let us do the hype beasting, all right? But like with official dates. So I'm just tired of 16 bars means October 16th. So.
Right.
It's just ridiculous. And then they were like, those aren't even full bars, those are half bars. I'm like, oh, Jesus.
It's never going to end. So at 3 a.m. every morning is when the official KitKat G Plus page posts this stuff. So at 3 a.m. expect something else to go up and everyone to start digging into that. And at this point, it could be just KitKat trolling us. And now that they're just going to start finding anything related to the 28, the number 28, they're going to post it up just to play with everyone's minds.
I still feel like this has Google's fingerprints on it, though. I haven't seen, not that I've been following KitKat's marketing scheme, before they announced their Android thing, but I haven't seen them do this viral marketing thing, like Google. This definitely has a Google feel to it.
I think it helps when you have something that people are actually interested in, though.
Right.
Like, I get it. You can't really, I understand the marketing a candy bar is important, but this time they have something to work with. Android 4.4 is named after it.
Yeah.
And they can see that. So I think they're just kind of working with that, and their numbers are going up social media-wise, I'm sure. Their Twitter following probably went from 5, to probably thousands.
Google Plus page.
What do you mean? No one follows candy bars?
I don't know how many people probably follow candy bars. I don't. If I did, though, it would be Almond Joy. So unfortunately, we already passed A. That would have been great. Android Almond Joy, that would have been sick. So, well.
I mean,
when we come back around,
all right.
That video that KitKat did, right after the official announcement from Google and KitKat, where they were making fun of Apple.
Yeah.
I highly doubt that they just got together and said, you know what, I highly doubt there was people there that could have made that commercial that knew how to parody an Apple press conference. Does that make sense?
Well, they probably hired a marketing agency to do that, and they're smart.
I don't know. It just feels like Google has a hand in this somehow.
I'm sure they do a little bit, though. I just don't know that I'm buying into. CNC Music Factory was previously named the 28th Street Clan or whatever the hell, and that means 28th. And then Michael Jackson.
Funny, but I feel like there's something there that we're probably missing.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you look at things like the kind of things that Google does, on April Fools and that kind of thing, they get into this kind of stuff. That's all the guys that work up there and girls that work up there, they're super nerdy and super into that kind of thing. So I wouldn't be surprised. This is really right up their alley for that kind of thing. Especially in terms of marketing stuff and things like that. They like to show their playful side every once in a while. I think it'd be better if they did it a little bit more often. But yeah, I mean, they've certainly done stuff like this in the past, and just certainly done things that are far more outrageous. So
I feel like this is also made worse by the recent rash of Half-Life 3 hype beasting that has come back up. It just everybody's in like something. They're conspiracy theory mode.
Everything has something to do with Half-Life 3.
Yeah, it's recently sparked back up again, so I feel like everybody's there's like chum the waters, and everybody's just freaking out trying to.
It's time for the sequel that we all deserve.
There are chum.
I mean, there is no company better at doing stuff like that than Valve, so Google might be taking a page out of their book.
Well, Google's pretty damn good at Easter eggs and trolling and all that stuff. So if they are involved, good for them. It does add some enjoyment to our lives right now. Because like Tim said, every morning we get like 3 or 4 emails saying, "Did you see this? Yeah. It means this date." Like the first thing I think you said to me was October 16th. It's the date.
I wake up and I see, oh, okay, we got emails. Checking email, and it just says, yeah, October 16th. So I was like, crap, that's today. I was like,
I better put the pants on.
Out of bed. I'm like, oh Jesus. So, and then of course, like nothing is official. I always have to remember. It's just if I don't see an official email from Google PR, then don't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, we're not gonna. I highly doubt Google's gonna just push these out with a press release. Okay, it's good. There's gonna be an event. This is their phone for the next year, and a new version of Android that changed names, which is a big deal. And there's potentially a watch or something else too. Like this is not just gonna be a you don't know it's coming type of thing. They're gonna have an event, and you're gonna see at least somebody get an invite to that, and then you're gonna
maybe. But I mean, they instead of like rescheduling from last year, they just kind of did a press release. Like they,
Well, they did, but that was sort of.
Yeah, but that was.
It was because of Hurricane Sandy, but I'm just saying, like, they still got plenty of press coverage and that kind of thing, and I mean,
that's not what they wanted to do, though.
Well, that wasn't their intent, but I'm just saying, like, we shouldn't. I don't know that we should necessarily rule out the idea that they would like they announced KitKat kind of haphazardly without really telling us any details or anything else like that, and that seems like the kind of thing you'd wait for, because they announced it like a while ago,
Mm-hmm.
And that seems weird. That's a strange thing to do, right? So, and I don't know that a Nexus, I guess, but they didn't do anything with it until very recently. So that's like it's just like this long period in between. And I don't know that a brand new Nexus device necessarily merits having a giant press conference. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
How dare you?
I'm just saying, like, they're not like unless it's like widely available and that kind of thing.
Not a big deal. Yeah, new Nexus.
They're not a big deal.
It's not coming to Verizon anyway, so it doesn't matter.
It's not on. It's probably not going to be on every major carrier. We've all kind of agreed on that. It's definitely not going to be on Verizon, which is the biggest carrier. Like.
Well,
it'd be a strange thing. I mean, I'm not saying that that's impossible to do. Like Verizon still has press conferences for things like the DNA and things like that. But
and J-Lo.
So like that happens. So I'm not like ruling it out. I'm just saying I would not be surprised if they just decided to do a press release saying, hey, we got a new phone out.
I just don't know that Google has not tried to do a press event for any device launch in recent memory other than like a Chromebook. And now last year they just decided to say screw that event because the hurricane screwed everything up. But they just did one for the Chromecast, which and a new Nexus 7 rehash, which is and 4.3, which wasn't even a name change. So I would be surprised if they didn't put together some sort of event.
Man, remember the ice cream sandwich press conference? We had like a whole rundown of the operating system then.
Right, which they also had to postpone, or decided to postpone. They didn't have to, I guess. But
Google's had the worst luck ever. So right now they can't do anything because the FCC shut down. Well, that could stop any second now, but FCC shut down, so we don't even know if they could put out a device right now if they wanted to. They've had some terrible luck over the last 3 years.
No, I thought it's been what's it called? I thought it's been through the FCC already. That's where we got a bunch of the.
Well, if they wanted to do another product, like say a watch or Nexus 10 or something, then they might be screwed.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, anyways, there's trolling and there's maybe clues, and Google might be having fun. We're not sure. Anyway, tomorrow morning, expect something new. Something new is going to pop up. Go follow the official Nestle KitKat Google Plus page, and you can jump right in on all this hype beasting. So. All right, you guys want to talk quickly about this Nexus 5 hands-on video that showed up over the weekend? Kind of crazy. Some French mobile site essentially, well, somebody got their video and then uploaded it to the internet. They didn't actually post the video as far as I know. It's 7 minutes of what clearly appears to be a prototype device. It resembles that from the FCC leak we saw. It just looks like an old janky. Oh, the video's been removed. You can't even watch it now. That took a while. I was surprised that it was up yesterday, I think. That's too bad. Yeah. Anyways, it showed us the Nexus 5 in all its glory. It was running a really old build of KitKat or Key Lime Pie still then. And the guy didn't go into anything to show us anything we didn't already know. Like, we didn't get to see any new Google Now integration or the camera doing anything new, or there wasn't really much to it. While it was this really cool 7-minute video, there was not a lot out of it. So I don't know.
Looks cool, although, it just looks janky. And according to Ron, who cares? I mean, it's only a Nexus device. Like, we shouldn't. Sorry, you offended me, Ron.
That's fine. I'm sorry I offended you.
No, it's fine.
They don't sell a lot, and they aren't available to everybody. So I don't think they're a major deal. So sorry.
Okay, that's cool.
Well,
there's not. I mean, look, how many times have you seen any Nexus device in person on the street?
My brother has one.
It doesn't happen very often, no.
Like, the only I've seen my brother got the Nexus S because it was on Sprint. I've seen a handful of Galaxy Nexuses because that was on almost every single carrier. I saw a Nexus One once from somebody. I've never seen somebody with a Nexus 4 ever.
Look, I'm not saying they're okay. They may not be important to the mass, market consumer.
Right, but they should be. That's the thing. They should be, and they're not.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. This is like Google's way of just showing you like what Android I think is capable of, and like by doing
just stupid waste of resources, though. That's the thing. Like,
they're Google.
This is what it's capable of.
I don't think they care about their resources. They're just like
clearly they don't.
I'm just saying.
But that's the thing. Like, the Nexus, like, because they have seemingly given up their original goal of like making Nexus phones available everywhere and like trying to circumvent going through the carriers and everything, like they appear to have given up with that. So like Nexus devices just become like, hey, if you want to buy an unlocked phone, there you go. Or if you want to get it on Tmobile, like, and that sucks. Like, that guarantees that they're not going to be major devices and like showcasing, hey, this is what Android can be. It's not though. Like, the camera's always sucky.
No, unfortunately, I agree.
And it's always like one-offs of devices from whoever the manufacturer was. The Galaxy Nexus was a crappy Galaxy S3 before the S3 came out. The last Nexus 4 was just a crappy, what was it, Optimus G. This one appears to be a crappy G2. Like, it's...
The Galaxy Nexus was a good device, although I will admit the Nexus 4 was kind of a step in the wrong direction, at least in my book, because I didn't really care for the device that much.
Right.
The Nexus 5, I think, will be a very important Nexus. I think...
Why? But why, though? Like, what makes the 5 different from the 4 and the Galaxy?
Because this is the first time, I think, that a Nexus is on par with any top-tier device on the market. So you got 1080p display, you got that Snapdragon 800. I mean, all these specs are what you would want.
A camera, potentially with OIS, like it's not...
It finally measures up. So that's
not
why...
coming out of Verizon.
Yeah, but
screw Verizon. We've
3 other carriers.
Everyone that they need
Sprint,
to get
T-Mobile, AT&T. It'll work on all 3 of those.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I understand why some people have to be on Verizon, but I mean, if it was my life, if everyone was me, I would be on AT&T because I love their speeds of LTE. Like, Verizon doesn't do it for me anymore, and I have AT&T where I live. So that's just me. I'm just saying, Verizon.
But if you're stuck on the nation's largest carrier.
I'm just saying.
Maybe you'd like to have the opportunity to have a Nexus. Maybe you'd like it if Verizon and Google could frickin' figure out the relationship and get their device everywhere.
Hey,
if Samsung can do it,
how long did it take Apple and Verizon to work it out?
3 years.
Okay, so we're only like 2
or
something.
Way past that.
We're close. We're close. I'm just saying. I know that to our readership, a Nexus device on Verizon would be a big deal, but I mean, this device seems important to me, because it's finally on par with the other top-tier devices.
For the first time in a long time, I've seen more readers say they're finally jumping ship from Verizon because of this phone.
Right, it's because of that, which like that's what sucks though. Like,
it does suck.
when it gets to the point where you want to have a Nexus so badly you're willing to leave carrier and do all that like I get like if you have other reasons to want to leave Verizon, that's fine, but like especially if you're in a situation like I think most people are, where Verizon is like the best carrier in the area, and you're just leaving because of that. Like, that sucks. Like, it'd be better if Google and Verizon could figure out the relationship and like make that work.
Yeah, but Verizon's a bunch of mean people. So And they want to, like, bloat everything out and all that.
They're a bunch of meanie heads.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I want to say about Verizon that I can't say. They're just, they're hard to work with, I think, when it comes to vanilla Android devices and updates and all that fun stuff. And Google just doesn't want that experience for their users, and that makes sense to me. I'm fine with it. I've been over it, and I think everyone else should be too. So, the end.
I mean, for the people that have upgraded to the Moto X, the S4, or the HTC One recently, this Nexus 5 is not going to mean anything to them.
No, and that's the thing. Like, I wish that Nexus devices, like, over time they've meant less. Like when the Nexus 1 came out, that was like top of the line. Like this is it, right? And since then, like they've all been just one-off devices. They're not pushing things in terms of specs. Like you said, Tim, this one's finally on par, which is great. But like, shouldn't it be better than on par? Shouldn't it be like if this is supposed to be what Android is capable of, why am I not seeing like, hey, this is next-gen stuff?
No,
why
because
is that not happening?
No, because I think they proved, I think, with Motorola and the Moto X that you don't need next-gen specs to get an awesome device that performs well.
Right, but if I have a Nexus 4, what's my point in getting a Nexus 5? Having a better screen and a better camera, hopefully?
Well, a camera's pretty important. But, yeah.
LTE.
But if we all agree that the X is fine in terms of specs, like, what's the point?
Dude,
what do you guys think is like the selling point of this device? Because so far, like obviously nothing's confirmed, blah blah blah. But like,
LTE
they're not pushing it,
LTE on 3 carriers, a better display, a camera with OIS in it, the newest version of Android, but that doesn't really matter. So, but the camera, LTE everywhere, and a better screen, that seems like enough reason to upgrade, I would think.
I think
that's way more than an iPhone ever gets in like 2 years. So I don't see like how you can say that this phone doesn't mean anything to Android.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that the Nexus program was supposed to be about something, and now it's just like Google crapping out another phone every year.
No,
that's either less than or on par with everything else. Like,
I don't agree. I think this phone will really be optimized for the OS will be optimized for the hardware very well, probably, and the phone will dominate. Like, I mean,
like such a generic term. What does that mean?
Well, I would argue, and user experience, it'll probably be awesome.
I would argue that this is the first Nexus phone since the Nexus 1 that actually is top tier in terms of almost everything it's done. The Nexus 4 didn't have LTE. And the processor at the time was the best.
It was fine, yeah.
It was the best. They didn't go 1080p display when 1080p displays were getting introduced. That was probably a cost-cutting measure, and yes, the camera sucked. Galaxy Nexus, we all kind of know the camera was terrible, the processor was a shitty OMAP, and it was probably not that great. The Nexus S was also kind of a terrible iteration, I would say.
At the time, it was okay. The display was horrible.
Yeah, so it wasn't groundbreaking by any means. The Nexus 1 was. It had the first 1 gigahertz single-core processor, and I think it
was insanely thin compared to everything else on the market at the time.
It was trackball.
It had a trackball.
Trackball, which I miss.
So that phone sort of set a standard, and that's what we thought every Nexus was going to do, and then we went through 3 that really didn't do that. This one, though, I think it's going to come out and it matches every top-tier phone right now. I guess if you wanted it to do something new that nobody else has done, it's not going to do that. But it's going to at least match
like
everywhere.
that's the weird thing. Like it's like if I'm like Google trying to justify like keeping up with this Nexus line, like what's the point of that? Like why are you doing this? Why not just keep doing Google Play editions at that point?
Because this is like the Nexus experience, man. I don't know.
But the Google Play Edition gives you the Nexus experience. So what's it like? Why not just do a G2 with GPU?
No,
edition?
Because the HTC One or say the S4 comes with like hardware buttons and stuff like that. I mean, I think
what you're trying to say, Tim, is that this is Google's vision of a phone, and I think whether that means selling millions and millions and millions of them or not, I don't know that Google really does care that much. They want a phone that's their vision of a phone, and at least that's what kind of that's sort of what I've gotten from them over the last few phones. They were never, outside of the first one, the last few have just been, well, this is our vision of what a phone and Android should be. You guys kind of do whatever you want, and maybe that's all they care about. And maybe that's good enough for Google, and they don't need to sell 10 million. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, it's just, all I'm saying is that we don't see other companies doing that outside of maybe Amazon. So that's what's strange about it. Like, hey, we're gonna show like it used to be about, hey, we're gonna show you like this is what we want our partners to shoot for, and it's not that anymore. And so that's like it's lost a lot of its meaning of what it means to be a Nexus phone, what it means to have a Nexus device, and I think honestly a lot of it's just like the weight of like, hey, I've got a Nexus device, like that means something. I don't know that it means something anymore outside of like the Nexus 7.
I think I know what you're talking about, like, and when you want other OEMs to kind of take what you have and, you know, and build off of that, you know, and that was like their Nexus platform, and I understand that, but that's not, I think the Nexus is now a brand and not like a stepping stone for all these other carriers, because now all of them have the technology to make phones just fine. They're top tier, all of that. They don't need inspiration, you know what I mean? This phone, it's a brand in and of itself, and this is the next rendition. Take it or leave it, you know, like, and this is a good rendition, you know, for the next one. So I don't know why we're fighting.
No, that's actually
I don't know either.
No,
I think we agree on most points. I think the big difference is like Google has not, since the Nexus 1, Google has not articulated this is why Nexus exists. This is why we keep doing this, and that's why I think there's a lot of debate about like why Nexus devices matter.
That makes sense.
Outside of being cheap, which I don't think anybody's super excited about. Like, you know, like it's great that it's cheap, but like that's not a good like.
Well, we don't know.
What does it mean? What does it mean that Google's continuing this Nexus program? Why are you guys doing this? Like, that's a basic PR kind of thing that you do, and that's a basic way to sell products. Like, hey, this is why you should get a Nexus device. They're not doing that.
I mean, if that's what you're looking for, I would say it is because they sell it as this is our vision of what Android is and our vision of hardware. That's all that I've gotten from them in the last couple of years is when they make a Nexus phone, they say this is our vision of it, and that may be all Google wants to do, which is kind of weird.
At that point, they're selling the software, not the hardware. When they're saying that this is our vision of the phone, I think it's more. I think they're saying you should care more about the software that it comes with, and this is how we like Android to run, and that the hardware, I don't want to say almost a second thought, but the fact that it can run well on that hardware. But maybe that's just me.
Yeah, which I think is, and that'd be great, right? But it's like they don't say that. Like they just here's our new product, and that's like that's
nice
lousy.
If they
like
came out and articulated exactly what they were trying to sell. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think that's up to us to decide, you know, each one of us is, do we want, you know, why do we want a Nexus phone? Which is kind of bad marketing-wise, leaving it up to somebody.
Yeah, that's what's strange about it is like every other company like wants to say like, hey, this is why you should buy this. And yes, Google doesn't necessarily, like they're not going to fail if people don't buy Nexus devices, but that like just their whole like apathy towards that is strange. And I think it's something that they need. I think that's something that they should deal with, and they should be better at articulating. Like, hey, this is why you should get a Nexus device. This is why you should care about the Google experience. This is why we're doing Google Play editions. Like, they literally have not articulated that at all. Like, they said, like, hey, here's some Google Play editions if you want to have like this is like they kind of said like if you want to have our version of Android, whatever the heck that means, like why that's important. Right? Like, they're not telling us anything. And that's kind of lousy. Like, you should say why should I get a Google Play edition instead of, you know, the regular edition? Like, they don't say that.
Maybe they will. Give them a damn break. You know, like
they've had more than a year. Like, what do you want me to do? Technically, they've had since the Nexus S. They haven't articulated that since then.
I'm just looking at the Play Store page to see what it says. And here's the listing. It says Nexus 4 is the newest smartphone from Google with cutting-edge hardware, the latest version of Android, and the best Google apps. Nexus 4 puts the world's information at your fingertips. Like, that's it. There's nothing.
Right. Which is completely unlike every other Android phone. Right. Like, what is it? It's so generic. And yeah, I mean, I remember I was like, not fretting about this, but I was like concerned about this when the 4 came out. I was like, why would I get this? And especially when the Play editions came out, like, what's the point of this? And their pages are super generic, not like Microsoft generic, but they're generic, and there's not like a manifesto of like, hey, this is why Nexus matters. This is why you should care. This is why you should care about stock Android. This is why we're pushing. You know, it's a strange thing.
Yeah, I wonder if sometimes Google still tiptoes around stepping on partners' toes and all that stuff. It's kind of an ongoing battle they have to worry about.
Is that they leave marketing Android up to other, you know, their partners. I've always wanted Google to make a commercial that comes out and just shows why Android is awesome. You know, like back when I had my Galaxy Nexus, if Google had done a commercial, because they do great commercials, let's be honest. I mean, they do some really good commercials. I think if they put some time behind a Nexus commercial that said, like, that when it came on, somebody would pick up their Nexus 5 and be like, yeah, I'm proud to have this phone. I'm proud to say I have a Nexus 5. I feel like that would be money well spent, but that doesn't happen. Whenever you see a Galaxy Nexus commercial or something like that, it's done by Verizon, and it's not made for the same reasons. It's not the same selling points. You know, it's not talking about why Android's good. It's when it's made by Verizon, they're trying to get you on Verizon. So, I don't know. I agree with Ron. I feel like Google probably should, you know, market Android a little bit more and tell us why. I mean, we all have our reasons why we like Android, but when you're marketing, you have to tell somebody else why they want Android too, you know? And Google doesn't do that.
And why you want like Google's iteration of Android versus, and I get like if they're concerned about like, but it's like what else are they gonna do? You're gonna switch to Windows Phone where Microsoft is gonna be making their own with Nokia? Like it doesn't matter at this point. Like there's no such thing as like trying to worry about your competing with your partners. Like where else are they gonna go? Are they gonna try and start their own thing? Like everybody else has failed miserably at trying to do that. Windows Phone is barely making any kind of splash at all. They're barely hanging on to third place. Like, what else is anybody gonna do? Like, it's Android or bust. Like, so, like, do it. Like, evangelize. Talk about why your product. Talk about why your version of Android is important. Why the vanilla original version of Android is important.
Yeah, maybe there'll be a marketing campaign behind the Nexus 5. We'll see. There's a little one behind the Nexus 7. I do see ads on TV every once in a while for the Nexus 7. So maybe it'll change with the Nexus 5. Last year, they just half-assed the Nexus 4 and decided not to go that route. I'm not sure. Anyways, I'm excited. It's my next phone for sure, but I'm a Nexus geek, Android geek, so I don't really count. So, all right, moving on.
Wow, that was a good one.
By the way, Tim, yes, there is a ghost.
That was a good conversation.
There's a ghost?
I don't know. Somebody opened your door. And
oh, yeah, I saw that door open. I was like,
what door?
I thought one of the dogs was coming in.
That door.
That door?
Yes.
Over your right shoulder. Yeah.
That's my pantry. Why would anyone open the pantry?
Somebody was there.
Dude, I saw it move.
I was like, rewind the tape.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about Nike and the Fuel Band for a second. This is another fun topic. So Nike unveiled their new Fuel Band, the Fuel Band SE, yesterday. And we sort of watched the presentation through, I think, a CNET live blog. They were one of the only ones doing it, waiting for them to say Android, and obviously they got to the end and said, new app already available on iOS. If you don't have iOS, take to the web, because that's where you could sync and do all of your fun stuff, which sucks because it now monitors sleep. There's all sorts of communities you can join in and chat with and comment with through your iOS device. It tracks all sorts of stuff. The algorithm's been changed. It's obviously a far better product than the original one that was announced in 2012. And we all know in 2012 we were promised an Android app for 8 months or something before they finally just said, no, we're not doing Android anymore. And it pisses me off. I'm not going to lie. I talked to Eric about this yesterday. And, well, Eric, you're about ready to just jump to Fitbit, aren't you? Are you still there?
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about that after we talk
just
about
staring you down.
Band, but, yeah.
Eric was zoning out there. So I'm a Fuel Band user. I have been pretty much since the beginning, and I'm fully invested in it, so it's tough for me to want to just give it up. Is Eric okay? Buddy? Is Eric okay?
No, he's freaking out.
Is there a ghost with Eric now?
You definitely said, ooh.
Yeah, I think my internet froze for a second. Am I back? Am I alive?
Yeah, you're alive.
Yes, you are alive.
Tim and his pantry geist.
My pantry ghost.
Pantry geist. Come on,
oh, pantry geist.
All right,
come on.
I'm back.
I like that. All right, okay, so Kellen has been a...
So yeah, I mean, I've been using it, so I don't necessarily want to just give it up, right? Because if I switch to Fitbit, then it's there's this point system's not there. It's just not the same. I feel invested in Nike's whole thing, and it just pisses me off that they continue to sort of shun Android, which is the most popular, biggest mobile operating system on the planet. I get that they want this consistent experience, so they've kind of just gone iOS. Except that when you're Nike and you're that big of a company, that doesn't really work. Especially when Fitbit's on both platforms. They support all sorts of devices and display types and sizes. There's all sorts of companies that are able to support both platforms pretty easily. Look at Evernote. Look at AnyDo. They just released a beta version of Cal, their other app. These are smaller companies that can do this. Why can't Nike do it? It just drives me insane. And I don't need to necessarily toss out the fact that Tim Cook is on the board of directors for Nike, but I'm going to toss it out anyway.
Yes, I am.
Oh, and how many Nike Fuel Band sort of employees or executives now work for Apple? look,
they've been trading employees.
They have been trading. It shouldn't be some sort of conspiracy theory. I don't want to create that. It just pisses me off. And when I see that stuff, it just makes me even angrier. So, thoughts?
Well, I think it sucks because I also have a Nike Fuel Band, although I don't wear it anymore because I don't see the point because I don't feel like hooking it up to my computer every damn day.
Right.
But yeah, so all those points I have are just like, and points, theoretical points. I mean, they don't mean anything in the first place, but it's still nice. It's a nice way to track what you've done and challenge friends. And now it just feels like a big waste of time because I'm definitely not going to get the new one, even though I like the way they look. I like those colors. But I'm not going to get it if there's no Android support because I'm over plugging stuff into my computer to sync it. Like I just want it to sync to my phone.
Yeah, so you get a half-baked customer. Yeah, you get a half-baked experience with this new one, especially because they created a reward system, so you can get trophies and things outside of just getting your regular goals. So you can do games. There's this whole new community aspect which wasn't there before. You can also, since it's Bluetooth 4.0, it'll sync with your iOS device and remind you every hour that you need to go work out or move around because you've been sitting for too long. It does all these really cool things. No Android support.
Doesn't surprise me.
I tweeted the other day, annoying that Nike Fuel continues to ignore Android. They're going to lose a lot of users to Fitbit because of this. And I would say about 6 hours later, I got a response from Nike. Oh, it's backward, isn't it? Whoops.
No, it's good.
Oh, was it?
No.
Just yours.
Basically saying that it's only going to support it at launch, which I don't know if that means that it's only going to support iOS ever, or they might do something later. But then I responded, yeah, well, that's what you said when the original Nike Fuel Band came out, and we're still waiting for that.
Oh, so waiting.
Yeah, there's just zero hope at this point that Android's ever going to see a Fuel Band app, unfortunately.
That's fine. Well, we have Galaxy Gear, so neener.
Yeah, it is kind of strange though when you see companies like that just completely ignoring, kind of like you said, like it's the biggest mobile operating system out there. So it seems a little like to me it seems like you're just leaving money on the table.
Yeah,
say it.
You are.
I did. It's the biggest one.
So then,
I know.
I'm
sorry.
No, go ahead. It's fine.
No, that's the gist of it. Like I just think that's insane. So I mean, despite like there was just that report that Facebook makes like way more money on ads on iOS and they actually lose money on Android, which I don't get like, and we've seen these reports like for web stuff, like the iOS users use the web like insanely more than Android users do, and I haven't seen anybody like give any good reason why that is. But with this kind of thing,
all the poor people that didn't have computers that own Android devices now. Okay.
They don't know what the internet is.
No.
Can they even afford data plans? Like, I don't know. Like, why they need that?
Just buying Nexus 4s off contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And making phone calls. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
but I mean, like you see something like that, and it's like it's not. But with this, like you'd be selling devices too. It's just you have an app there, and like just develop the app and do it. Like. You'd have tons of users. There's tons of people that and especially like when you're going to a store and you're picking up the device and you look at it and go, oh, this only supports iOS, so then I'm not going to get it. Like you're definitely losing sales at that point. So that kind of thing just doesn't make sense. So hopefully, like Eric, you have the tweet saying that like at launch we're only going to support it, and yeah, they only set up for the last one. Hopefully they do support it. Like it just makes financial sense in my head at least. Like hey, like if we want to have more users. That because that's especially because like more and more people are like kind of abandoning computers, like big computers, and just using their phones for everything. Mm-hmm. More and more as I'm talking to people, like they're pushing towards that. I'm having more and more people asking like, hey, especially people that are like going to college, like, hey, do you think I can get away with just having a tablet and not have like a full computer and that kind of thing? So people are like trying to do that, I think, and we're seeing PC market share plummet. So like we're on our way there, and so just to ignore the biggest platform out there seems a little strange to me.
It does. I don't get it, but
well, Kellen hinted at it that I was ready to hop on the Fitbit bandwagon. I was like looking into their site. I made an account, blah blah blah, and then I was depressed because the Force, the one with the screen on it, only supports Bluetooth 4.0, which means Galaxy S3 or Galaxy S4 and the Note 3 and that's about it. So
the S3 has Bluetooth 4, doesn't it?
Or yeah, and the S3. Yeah, so AKA not my Moto X. So
Moto X really doesn't
Wait.
have Bluetooth 4.0.
There's
don't
no way it
think it
doesn't have Bluetooth 4.
It has. It's just not running 4.3, so it can't take advantage of it.
okay, that's
Because 4.3 Bluetooth LE was device specific, but with the
Yeah.
new version, it's supposed to be.
okay. Yeah. So
So you'll be fine once you get
now
up
I have
there.
to wait. Yeah, until 4.3
As far as I
comes
know.
out for the Moto X, and then I can. Well, maybe when 4.3 comes out for the Verizon Moto X is when the time that Nike will actually make an Android Fuel Band app. Those will probably come out at the same time.
Yeah, I just looked it up. The X definitely has Bluetooth 4. So.
Okay, all right. I was a little
Yeah,
worried.
you're just waiting for an update to be able to use it.
Take advantage.
Yeah. So you held off on the Fitbit then? That's funny.
Well, yeah,
Well,
it doesn't come out. The Force doesn't come out for another month or so anyway. So
Yeah, well, it's like the end of the month or something.
that kind of helped.
It might be
got a
longer. It was like
pre-order.
4 to 6 weeks or something. Maybe. I thought it was a really long. Because I almost the day they
it is
announced
4
it,
to
I
6
was thinking about jumping ship and ordering one, and then I was about to pull the trigger, and I was like, wait, I have to wait 4 to 6 weeks.
Wait,
Might as well
what?
wait to see what Nike's
Oh,
doing.
wait?
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing that.
So. All right. Well, let's.
But if you
go
haven't
for it.
looked at, one last word. If you haven't looked into Fitbit, I would highly suggest it. Their web portal is really extensive. I mean, granted, you don't get the cool Nike brand and fuel points, but they do a lot of interesting stuff, and it also tracks sleep cycles. I don't know if the new Fuel Band does that. I don't.
The new
I know the
one
old
does
one did.
some sort of sleep tracking, and they mentioned it during their presentation, but I haven't been able to find anything else about it. So it must not do much for sleep. It must just know when you're inactive or something.
Fitbit does a lot of sleep tracking stuff. So
Yeah.
just look into it if you're interested.
I'm more into like the gimmicky stuff when it comes to like that personal fitness. Like, unfortunately, like I would never use half of the stuff that the Fitbit can do, but I like Nike Fuel Band because it just does fuel points.
Yeah,
and it doesn't really
and
do
it makes
anything.
it simple too. It doesn't like
Exactly.
overcomplicate.
I like
They
gimmicks.
have a good.
So.
They have a good marketing scheme for
It's
it.
a good gimmick. Look, I turned everything on my Fuel Band off except the points
And the
because
clock, of course.
well, in the clock, yeah, I don't think you can turn that off. But yeah, so I don't care about the steps or there was something else it does too. That
Well,
I,
this was very inaccurate.
calories.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's
So-
super inaccurate. And they apparently changed it a lot, so you
That's
can't
good.
like shake your arm a bunch and like cheat.
Oh,
You can't do that with the new one, yeah. So
good. Well,
yeah, Nike.
I'll still buy their shoes.
I know, I will too. All right, so let's talk really quickly about T-Mobile and killing grandfathered unlimited plans.
Finally.
Just because I want to get your guys' thoughts on what you think will happen with Verizon. So if you guys aren't familiar, T-Mobile in November is going to kill off their grandfathered unlimited data plans. Basically what they're doing is sending letters to everyone that has one saying your plan no longer exists. We're automatically moving you over to one of our new plans. It'll probably be the same price, sometimes cheaper, sometimes maybe a little bit more, but it'll essentially be a better deal for you. And with T-Mobile customers, it's actually true. Most of those grandfathered unlimited data plans, they have limited minutes, and they're not fully unlimited text and all that stuff. So now they're getting unlimited minutes, text, and unlimited data. Though we're not sure with some of these new plans they're introducing, at least for these unlimited grandfathered people, if they're going to be, like 500 megabytes of full speed or 202 gig full speed. We don't really know, but for the most part, these are pretty good deals. Now, if Verizon were to do this and send you all a letter that says your unlimited data no longer exists.
Riots in the streets.
Oh yeah, we're gonna migrate you over to a 2 gigabyte $30 plan. It would be.
The world would come to an end.
People would die.
But is it guaranteed to happen? If T-Mobile can figure out a way to just send out a letter and say, no, you're not on contract anymore, your plan's going away, this is what we're moving you on to, you can cancel if you want. Verizon could do the same thing.
What are people going to do? Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
There's nothing stopping them.
If you're on contract, they can't.
No, so if you're not on contract. So
Right.
these grandfather people cannot be on contract anymore, I don't think. I don't.
Legally,
Unless-
I don't think they can. Yeah,
Well, I
so
guess
it has to
unless-
be people that aren't on contract.
Yeah, unless T-Mobile was, letting people upgrade and keep those plans, and they could have been doing that. But so Verizon, their opening could easily be once you're off contract. Why couldn't they just send you a letter and say your plan no longer exists?
Well, they can.
See ya.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I'm just wondering what's stopping them from doing that actually, and why they haven't done it yet.
I feel like best case scenario, only people that aren't on contract right now have to worry. Worst case scenario is there's something in the terms of terms and services that everybody signs when they sign up for the contract that says, in extreme circumstances or blah blah blah, we can swap you to a new contract or something like that.
It's a legal agreement, and they can't. I mean, you can't have something like that where we can randomly change.
Yeah.
If they do something like that, then they have to compensate for it.
America.
So.
Especially since they just went through the fiasco of saying that everybody that upgraded through the glitch would keep their unlimited. I don't see it happening anytime soon.
Well, if they say something like, "Hey, we're just moving everybody off," and so you're done with it, then that voids the contracts. Then you're free to leave. Like which isn't like a great thing for most people, but that's the reality. But I think from Verizon's perspective, I mean, as long as they're getting people to pay, I mean, from their because basically, like, unless you do the weird, like, have somebody else on a different line do the upgrade or whatever, like, you go through that shenanigan, we're just still, like, even Eric made a like, the smallest of errors and then lost it. Like, so you have to be, like, really careful with that, right? So, like, if you the only way to do it, like, super clean is, hey, I'm going to pay full price for the phone and continue to pay a subsidy for it because Verizon doesn't separate that out. Like, that's win-win for Verizon. So I don't think they care. Like, hey, you're paying the same price. Yeah, you're using unlimited data, but the vast majority of people that are using unlimited data probably aren't using like crazy amounts. I know there are definitely people out there that use insane amounts of data, but
at this point, their unlimited data customer accounts are probably just going like this. They're just going down because people want to upgrade eventually. They're giving it up. They're running deals to give people 6 gigs of data at the same price. So they're going down. So if there's those last few people that are gobbling up 30 gigs of data a month, it's probably not affecting them all that much at this point just because they've got most of the people off. And they got people like Eric who did one little thing different and the whole account's tiered data. They're winning the battle. Let's just say that. They're winning the battle.
They're an evil corporation. Keep that in mind.
They're all evil corporations.
They don't like Nexus phones. Anyone that doesn't like Nexus phones is evil.
I don't know that they don't like Nexus phones. They just don't want a Nexus phone to be a Nexus phone, if that makes sense. Yeah. And Google said, no.
You're blowing my mind, man.
So that's happening with T-Mobile. We don't know if or when it'll happen with Verizon. If it does, we'll be sure. We're sure to let you know.
Yeah.
So Consumer Reports says that the new Droid line, and they didn't include the Moto X, they said the Droid Ultra Max and Mini are slightly better, or at least they prefer them over the iPhone 5S and 5C. Tim, do you want to talk about that for a second? I didn't read the article.
Yeah, I mean, well, basically...
I read your article. I didn't read the report.
I appreciate it. I mean, to sum it up, they said that the new iPhones are good. The iPhone 5S and the 5C, they really like the fingerprint scanner. It was reliable, worked well. And, they like the improvements with iOS 7, like Command Center and notifications and all that stuff. But in the long run, the new lineup of Droids on Verizon, there's just no comparison. I forget what the in quotes part was, but it was like no contest or something like that. Yeah, something like that.
No match.
No match. Yeah, no match for the new Droids, and coming from me, like I don't really care for the new Droids that much. So I was like, the hell, I would take a new iPhone probably before the new Droids.
What? Oh, come on.
Hey, just so he can resell it.
Exactly right. Just
he's gonna get a lot more money
for it. Yeah. Gold one, please. So. I think when it comes to, or when it came down to it, the new Droids had, bigger displays, and then better battery life. So, but they also like the cameras on the 5S, but yeah, new Droids. It really only came down to the battery life and bigger displays.
I think they also said the voice activation stuff with Google Now.
And Google Now, of course, and notifications and stuff like that.
So, Ron, do you ever kind of on the side go, I wish this phone had a bigger display? Like, does it bother you at all that Apple won't go bigger than 4 or whatever it is right now? Is it 4? Yeah, 4 inches.
4 inches, yeah. No, I don't ever wish I had a bigger one.
Really? That's what you mean a phone?
Yeah, no, I don't ever.
Sick.
But no, I mean, I like the size of my iPhone.
You like 4 inches of display. Is that really enough, though? I mean, come on.
For me, it is. I mean, I don't think that. I mean, I think Apple's going to do bigger displays, especially with iOS 7 and the large typography. It just feels like it's designed for future, versions of phones with larger displays. I think they have to do larger displays because battery technology hasn't improved, and they need to get battery life better. They've had marginal improvements, but you're not going to be able to do anything better until you can pack a bigger battery in there, and they're not going to want to do thicker. So I imagine looking at the same width and make it bigger. So
iPhone 6 reported to have bigger display.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. So, but personally, no. I mean, I like the size of it. It's if I want to do something on a bigger screen, then I go to a tablet. So.
You're crazy.
That said, something like the Moto X and that kind of size device, it doesn't bother me to have something like that. But I want to be able to use my device completely with one hand.
And you can't do that with the Moto X, you think?
No, I can. Okay. That's what I'm saying. Like something that size would be fine.
Okay, gotcha. You just want to be able to. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
My favorite thing about iPhone users when I see them in public is they're always like this because it's so small. They're like this. Like Android users hold their phone comfortably down here.
Oh God, the Note 3, I have to hold it as far away as I possibly can.
I really wish we had a time machine right now, and I could transport Tim today back to Tim for like 3 years ago.
What would he be
like? Just asking if 4 inches was too big or too small. Like really, you can't use 4 inches? 4 inches was like enormous back in the day.
Yeah.
3.7 to 4 was just like. No way, that's never going to work.
Yeah, minds were blown. I think, things change and personal preferences change, especially when the market changes. Totally, I see what you're saying. I never thought that I would really be into, like, a Note series, line of phones. Like, holy crap, they're just way too big. But, I mean, I've been using the Note 3, and it's, again, it's growing on me. Although, I mean, it's still too big, I agree. I miss the Moto X, But the Note 3, you just kind of get used to it. So
gotta get that Moto money.
You can get used to anything.
You can. I remember when the Droid X came out, 4.3 inches, and Steve Jobs called it a Hummer.
The Hummer phone.
Yeah.
Because it was so huge, and I remember holding the thing going.
The thing is huge. Like, let's be honest. The thing was it is.
Yeah. It was good, but if you put it next to any of the other phones that are out right now, it's probably not that much bigger.
But just like especially with the hump in the back and the bezel, like it feels huge still.
The hump, that's right. The beginning of the hump.
It was so top heavy that it would like fall out of your hand.
Yeah. It was kind of it was a cool device at the time. It was a little top heavy.
Yeah.
It was a little.
So, but as for Consumer Reports opinions on the Droid branded devices, I don't really necessarily concur. I don't really care for those phones. I just don't like the looks. They perform just fine. And their cameras are crap, but
like the Moto X. That's the thing. Like we've had lots of commenters saying like especially when after they got over the opening paragraph of my maybe you should consider the Moto X.
They're still not over that.
Yeah, shockingly, nobody's over that lately.
Chat's gonna blow up here in about 30 seconds.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it.
Oh, what the Note Bolt?
But I think. Shoot, what was my point? Now I'm totally lost. What was I saying?
Your comments about.
We've had people commenting saying like, hey, if you think the Moto X is like a legit option to look at, why not the Droids? And like my response, and I think all of us, our response has been like, they look like ass, so that's why you should get the X instead.
That really is it. That's the only thing I don't. Well, so when you go 5-inch display 720p, you're getting a little. It's not like you could actually see pixels, but you're getting a little.
No, you can't. You can't see unless you're like holding it like right up to your eye. Maybe you can see something, but you shouldn't be doing that. So. Yeah, I mean the whole like debate over is 720p versus 1080p. Like I mean until you're getting like to like an actual like TV display or something like.
Right.
I don't think it matters. I don't think you can really see it. I think the type of display like AMOLED versus LCD or whatever like that I think still has some significance. But if it's 720p versus 1080p, I don't think it matters.
No, it doesn't. But I would agree. The only things I don't really like about the Droid phones is the look of them. That's really they're a Moto X. They're a bigger body that's ugly. That's all.
Yeah.
To each their own, I guess. Some people really like that look, and some people really love that battery life. So.
That's the thing.
Moto X battery life ain't nothing to joke with.
It's not bad at all. But if you can get 2 full days, that's
2 full days is a big deal for people.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, let's talk about this HTC One Max briefly. Unless you guys really want to talk about this thing, but the One Max is official.
It's a brand new device,
huge, 5.9 inches. Everything we knew about it is now official. There's no surprises whatsoever. The Verizon version though does have a giant Verizon logo where it used to say HTC on the front, which is just And only a 4G LTE logo on the back, no Beats. So clearly they removed Beats as quickly as they could. And look, I'm sorry, this phone should not exist. We talk every once in a while about phones that shouldn't exist. Like the old Droid Ultra should not exist. It should just be the Max, right? The HTC One Max, there's no point in it existing whatsoever. It has the same processor as the One, so they didn't upgrade that. Same RAM, same 4-megapixel camera, same...
without optical image stabilization.
Oh, yeah, and no optical image stabilization, so it's actually worse. There's no special software or anything to make it useful as a 5.9-inch device. It's just 5.9 inches to have a 5.9 inch.
But it's got a fingerprint scanner.
Oh yeah, it has a terrible fingerprint scanner that doesn't even work.
upwards.
Yeah, you have to swipe vertically or it doesn't work, and that's it. And it doesn't, like Apple, what they do with theirs, where it just blends into the design for the most part, except on like the gold one, I think. It blends into the design. It blends into your everyday use of it by just pressing the home button. And then they also let you buy things essentially with it. You don't have to type in a password. That stuff's really cool. HTC did it as an unlock, but you have to hit the lock switch first to wake the phone. Then you can swipe. And then you also...
they moved the lock switch that's on the side, which is
that's right.
Finally, thank you.
Finally. That's right. Okay, so they did do that. There's one bonus. But the fingerprint scanner also will launch a couple of your favorite apps, but only from the lock screen. You can't swipe it any other time, I don't think, only from lock. It's just such a stupid phone. I'm sorry. It's so stupid. And we don't know the price of it, but it's coming to Verizon and Sprint probably in November or something like that.
Don't get it.
Yeah, don't buy this phone.
Yeah,
I guarantee you that Verizon, when they got the regular HTC One, they wanted to put their logo where it is on
sure
the Max.
They did, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then HTC was like, just wait, we'll get there.
Probably.
We'll hook you up.
We're going to give you a lot of space.
Well, and what does it say that AT&T wants no part of this phone? And AT&T always gets everything exclusively first in a fancy color and yada, and they want nothing to do with this thing. They just said no. Sprint and Verizon, you guys have it.
I really, really liked my time with the One, but personal preference, it was almost a little too big for me.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine how much aluminum that is going to feel like. It's just going to be huge.
It's going to feel like a spaceship in your hands, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, you could probably fly
does the original One does not have expandable storage, right?
No.
You're stuck with it. Yeah, but the Max does.
It does.
Yeah, with their
removable
back.
So that's a
but not removable battery.
Yeah, so you can remove the back, but you can't take out the battery?
No, you can't.
Little confused.
Yeah, so you can take the back off to put a SIM in and an SD card. Because I think the base model is only 16 gig internal storage, so they had to give you more. But yeah, you can't take the battery out.
What were they doing with all that space where they couldn't put in more than 16 gigabytes of memory?
I don't know. Or a super large battery that's 5,000 milliamp or something. They didn't do anything with this phone to make it any more.
They couldn't fit optical image stabilization in there.
They couldn't have enough space. Stylus somewhere in there.
What is it? You're going to take off the back and it's just going to be nothing in there but the battery. That's just...
Like, you should buy the One Mini before you ever consider the One Max.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
You should, well, I mean... Unless you are hardcore about having optical image stabilization, like get the One Mini over the One Max, or the regular One too, you know.
Right. It's a HTC. I don't know what they're doing.
Interesting.
I wonder what they're going to do next year. It should be interesting to see what they decide to try to save that company.
The HTC 2.
The One was a decent phone. It is a very good phone.
The One's a really good phone. It just has a terrible camera, 4-megapixel camera.
Well,
yeah, and I think
it looks good, but. Like the pictures, you know what I mean? Like on the phone, they look good, but once you port them to anywhere, they took
a gamble on that ultra pixel.
They did take a big gamble on that, and their sensors have been off for a while. They pull in too much light, especially if you have like any sort of bright light, like their shot's ruined, which is a problem. So they need to fix that. But I think, I don't know. I mean, they just like the One X was also a good phone. It just they had issues with customs.
One X was a fantastic phone before the One.
It was a sweet phone, yeah.
And I think if they iterate on the One a little bit more, throw whatever money they've got left in marketing, because let's be honest, after this, like if they don't make it, they're done.
Yeah, they probably have 1 year left, right?
Yeah, so just like do a flagship that's around like just like a normal size phone. Don't do giant, don't do mini. Just do like a normal size phone. Cut down the bezel, make it feel better in the hand, make it feel less like you're gonna cut yourself with it. Make it round some of those edges. maybe go higher than 4 megapixels.
If they can go 8 ultra pixel in there or something, basically do what Apple did with their camera, because it's the same thing, but
yeah, just make the software better and yeah. And also make it so that Sense doesn't look like it's got like a film cover over it. Every time I touch a Sense phone and you like compare it to like just a phone, like any other phone, like it feels like there's a film over it. Does anybody else know what I'm talking about?
I kind of know what you're talking about. That could just be because the display appears to be sort of, I don't know,
maybe, but
or
I just feel like every Sense, like anytime I have Sense on a phone, like it just feels like there's like another layer on top of the software.
Well, they like to use weird, like reflections and angles and stuff in Sense. It's definitely, well, this new version's obviously more flat than it has been ever before,
right.
But
even on the one, like it still felt like there was like a slight film on top of it.
Please let me review the One Max. Please.
You really want to carry that thing around, though?
Posting pictures of stuff that's sitting next to it.
Oh, sitting next to it.
See, now,
That's it.
Now I want to.
They posted this picture in the chat. It's like
HP
1.5 times bigger than the. Oh my god.
It seems like a big phone.
Huge.
Just put the regular HTC One next to it. It's insane how big it is.
That's the one I'm looking at. Oh my god.
Yeah, it makes it look like the One Mini is what it is.
Oh, the poor little Veer next to it.
Enormous.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Look at the Veer. Now imagine that on your wrist.
That would be hot.
Huh? There you go. Problem solved.
Hold on, going in.
Looks like Galaxy Gear.
Oof. What else do we got?
Same size display, right?
People are sharing links like crazy. Yeah, the HP Veer. That's really funny. Look at that Verizon logo. Okay, so I haven't done enough research on the old One Max, but what is that little toggle on the side? Is that just to remove the battery cover? Is that what that's for? Is it like a release switch? You guys see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I don't see like a little pin, SIM pin, or whatever the heck they call those.
I think that's what it's
No, up on the top.
Definitely not
top left. Yeah,
it's like a switch.
Yeah, it's definitely not for like sound muting or anything like that. So.
Yeah,
not that I know of. Yeah,
I don't think I've seen anyone address that, but
although YOLO on that sense feed or blink feed sense feed.
Oh yeah, look at that.
YOLO.
Classy. Oh, you can it ships with 5.5 Sense 5.5, which you can turn blink feed off.
Okay.
Savior. The savior device right there. Out of the black.
Yeah. All right, let's talk some apps and games real quick and start wrapping up.
Cool.
So I wanted to talk about Cal. You guys know Cal?
I love the Bears.
So AnyDo released Cal, which has been an iOS calendar app that is awesome. I use it on this silly iPod Touch every once in a while just to look at how pretty it is. And it looks like AnyDo, but it also looks... All right, it looks kind of like iOS 7, but it's really beautifully done. There's all these transitions in it. It's got that minimal type sort of style. It works with your calendar automatically. You don't really have to configure anything. And there's a beta out now for Android. And while the app is super, they should have called this thing alpha. There's times where it just lags all over the place, and it's got all sorts of issues, force closes, and all that stuff. But you can see that it's going to get there eventually once they tidy it up. It's as beautiful as it was on iOS. It looks great. The functionality is really nice, and it works with AnyDo. If you're a big AnyDo user, you should probably switch over to Cal. The weird thing is in the beta, there's a screenshot on the Play Store that shows a widget, and I tried to put the Cal widget and nothing. So I don't know. Anyways, it's free. You can join it. We've got a post at the site with a links to join the community and then become a beta tester and all that stuff. So anyway, try Cal, C-A-L. Yeah. Eric, you want to talk about Aviate, which has taken over the world this week for some weird reason?
So, I was at class yesterday, and then I get out of class and I'm on Twitter, and I'm like, what is going on? Because it was just blowing up, and everybody was asking for invites to this thing. So I was like, hey, Kellen, what is going on? So he sent me an invite to Aviate, and it's a launcher replacement app, but it's not like your normal launcher that we've seen, your Apex, your Nova, that kind of stuff. Pretty much, it's hard to describe. I mean, it's just sets you up with a home screen, and then that screen changes contextually where you are, depending on where you are, what time of day it is, and all that kind of stuff. You know, if you're at work, it'll show you a bunch of apps that, you know, it thinks you use at work. If you're at home, it does the same thing there. If you're going somewhere, it automatically brings up, you know, travel apps, that kind of stuff. It does a pretty good job of figuring everything out by itself. It's not the most in-depth in the world. It's very, I don't want to say iOS, but it kind of, you know, sets the ground rules like, hey, this is what your home screen's going to be, and you can't really do much. You can set the picture on the front there, and then you can add a widget in or two, but then that's about it. That's about all the customization you get. You can't even, like, I had a wallpaper on before I installed AV8, so now the clear Moto X down here has the background of that wallpaper, but I can't go back and change that wallpaper. So I just have this tiny little sliver of the wallpaper that I used to have on my Nova down there at the notification screen. So it's pretty nifty. I mean, it's in beta now, so I mean, it's not really the most feature-packed, but it's pretty nice. I don't know if I'll use it for more than a week. I'll probably go back to my Nova setup because I like that so much. Yeah, you can't even install an icon pack. I saw the part in the post where it said you can't install an icon pack, and I just read icon pack, and I said, oh, cool.
You were like, how do you do it? I said, no, you can't.
I messaged Taylor, and I was like, so how do I do this? He's like, sorry, that's not allowed. So I've still got 4 invites. Apparently that was a big thing yesterday.
Send me one.
Did you see how many comments? Yeah, we're in that post.
1,000 plus. Oh,
so,
why? I think it's the ugliest thing ever.
Yeah.
All right,
Hit me up on Twitter, I guess.
I used it for most of yesterday, and I actually thought it was pretty cool. The way I installed it early in the morning, so there was a morning space or whatever they call it, and it had all this stuff for that. And then there was a work one, and there was I'm traveling one, so pull up maps and all that stuff. And as I was filming a video of it, it switched from morning to like day or something, or home. No, it switched to home. So the morning one just went away, switched to home, and then eventually it switched over to office because it just decided I was probably at work. So I could see it being really cool because it makes everything handy. You can throw in some widgets; they just don't look the same, or sort of they just look a little bit different because they're in that Google Now card style. But once you sort of set up these spaces that you see quite often, it could be really cool because it does present everything for you when you want it. For me, since we've touched on this a number of times, I'm a cave troll and I work at home, so I don't go to the office and I don't drive all that often and I don't go out to the gym all the time. So because it'll switch over to like a gym space, if you will. And so it changes to all these things, but you have to be someone that travels a lot or moves around a lot, and I don't. So I just switched back to Nova. But I thought it was pretty cool just the way it was recognizing stuff. And especially if you go out to restaurants and stuff and you check into a lot of places, its integration with that where you can check in easily, leave notes, see tips, and all that stuff is really cool. So it has a lot of potential. For me personally, it just didn't make much sense. But
boo. I think it just looks meh.
Well, it's just so much different than a traditional.
It's pretty bland, and I really like the contextual awareness, but I want it to do more than just like suggest an app that I might use if I'm at work. I want kind of stuff, for me to use, or the phone does something automatically. Otherwise, I don't know. I mean, it's a good point. It's a good starting point, especially since it's only in beta. I mean, I think they can do a lot of interesting stuff. I'll be anxious to see where they go. But right now, it's just kind of,
It's meh.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
It's got some cool ideas, but it's not necessarily for me either. So anyway, if you want invites, go hit up that post. People were sharing those things like crazy.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
Sexy baby.
Is that a hashtag, man?
Yeah, let's check.
Is that a real Twitter handle?
Oh wow, somebody actually
one tweet.
Oh wow, 154 followers with one tweet. That's good.
Nice.
Pretty good.
Well, someone asked us what our favorite launchers are. I'm a big Nova fan.
Yeah,
and I know
Nova's
Kellen,
pretty good.
I know Kellen is too, so I'll answer for him.
Nova.
It's all about the Nova. I mean, you have a whole bunch of customization, icon support naturally. So doesn't get much sweeter than that, and it brings a good like vanilla Android feel, you know, like but that you can customize.
Yeah, and just the fact, or because we use Nova, most of us, doesn't mean that, you know, Apex is terrible or any of those. Those are probably all as good and have other features that Nova doesn't. I keep bringing up that I've invested in these things like stupid Nike Fuel Band, but I've invested in Nova. I have all these backups, and I know exactly where everything is and how it works, and it fits everything I needed to do, so I haven't needed to change. But there are so many good third-party launchers out there. This is just the one we've sort of picked. So.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nova and Apex are kind of on par. I use Apex personally.
You do, yeah. They kind of came. I think Nova came out the week before or something like that. And so I jumped on it and just kind of haven't turned back. But I remember when Apex came out and everyone said Apex does all this other stuff, and then Nova started doing it. And I was already there and just didn't switch over.
Yeah, they've kind of kept in par with each other. So
yeah.
Remember ADW?
ADW.
Yes. Remember Launcher Pro? You want to
remember Launcher Pro? Yeah.
Launcher Pro. When's the rewrite coming?
Every 3 or 4 months, Tim and I get an email that says, "Hey, do you guys know what's up with the rewrite Fetty? Where is he? Where is that guy?
He'll be waiting around for quite a while."
It's kind of weird to see him completely disappear from the scene, though. I wonder what he's doing.
No, it actually makes total sense. He made total bank off that music app and Launcher Pro, and then just said,
the music app.
Yeah.
Which he updated like twice?
Twice. Well, he got to the top of the Play Store for like a month, and then he's like, all right, I'm good.
But think about it. Think about guys like Kosh. He's created a couple of apps, and obviously he's made bank, and he's still doing it because he knows he could just create another app and make more money. Like, I can't imagine that old Federico Canales hasn't decided to continue to do that.
I see him as more of like an entrepreneur than...
Yeah.
And then Federico was more of a kind of, I'm in the limelight, so I'm going to soak this all up, and then I'm going to deuce out. So.
Which is what he did, essentially.
Yeah. Well, because in essence, let's be honest, I don't know much about developing, but it can't take that much to develop a launcher app. You know, one that really didn't. Launcher Pro didn't even do that much.
Shots fired there.
Fighting words right there.
Well, I think what happened though is like.
It didn't really bring that much to the table. It was just smooth.
No, it did. It did. It brought tons to the table. It's just the things that it brought came to the stock launcher. Like that's the thing. Like because originally it came out around Claire, and so like originally you can only have on the stock launcher you just had the whatever the button was to show you all your apps, and so he added like having multiple things on the bottom.
Yeah. No, he did some stuff. I'm not saying
being able to resize widgets that wasn't in the stock launcher. Like he added things.
I'm just saying you can't compare Kosh to Fede, like where Kosh could probably write a launcher app in his sleep probably, and not
No, but that's because
but that doesn't mean it's easy. That's just because he's that damn smart.
Okay, I'm not. Yeah. I didn't say it was easy. I just said it might. I don't know how hard it is.
You literally
rewind
didn't say it was easy. You definitely implied that it was easy.
Oh, okay. So I didn't say it was easy. You're saying. So I'm right. You're wrong. Okay, just making sure.
You pretty much said it doesn't take much.
I'm not trying to imply that it's easy because I'm not a developer. I don't know. I'm just saying it can't be that hard. That is not me calling it easy.
That's your new goal. Over this next week, you have to write a launcher.
It might not be hard to create a really crappy launcher but a good one.
Yeah.
Probably take the guys that do Nova and Apex and Launcher Pro one time.
Yeah, and we've been able, of course. And that's something that I think we would like to see more of too. Like we had like Launcher 7 back in the day, which I'm sure hasn't been updated in forever.
Yeah.
We've seen some ways of like trying to like, hey, let's try and like redo this. I think that'd be cool to see some more people try and do that. There was another one pretty recently. I don't remember the name of it though.
Pux Nova. That's funny. I like our chat. Our chat's funny.
The best, yeah.
Man,
our chat is just hating on me. That's all that's happening.
No, they love you, Eric or Ron. Come on.
That's right.
All right, I just want to talk quickly about Angry Birds Go. Is anyone else ridiculously excited for Mario Kart?
I can't say I'm excited, but I'm looking forward to it.
Party in the middle is not excited about it. I can like high five, Eric. Do you want to high five me?
Wrong side.
Other side.
What do you guys are
if you guys reverse it.
Are we opposite of each other?
Yeah.
I'm next to Tim on my screen.
Yeah. Man. Hey, you're next to me on mine, but you're like...
Am I hitting Eric now or the space?
Nothing for you.
Yeah, you're hitting the wall.
Yeah, so
you gotta do it opposite.
We can do it. Yeah.
No, see, I'm slapping your face right now.
I'm slapping your face right now.
Oh, weird.
Oh, you're
This
hitting me.
is a great Brady Bunch montage we got going on right here.
Okay, so Angry Birds Go is going to be the Mario Kart of Android. I was a Mario Kart addict for so long, so I'm excited for this.
Let's not
Mario
go
Kart's one of the
cross-something
greatest
Mario
games
Kart
ever.
before it comes out.
Oh,
I'm
Yeah,
just
but I
saying, there's a
Mario
lot of
Kart's
crappy
top
kart
five.
games out there that are not as good as Mario Kart.
This
so
is true.
What I like about Mario Kart is that girls like that game and they'll totally play it with you.
oh, my
Like,
wife
"Oh, you wanna
gets
play
crazy on Mario Kart.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Girls are
let's play.
mean
And then they
Mario
whoop your ass at it.
So-
They're like,
yeah.
Yeah.
But then as soon as you
No,
pull on
because if you
GoldenEye,
beat
nobody's
them,
getting
they
it
get
because the game has changed.
They're mad either way. Mario Kart gets everyone all jacked up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, that
especially
is
when
a
you're
little
first
unfair to
into
compare
the
it to
blue
Mario
shell,
Kart.
Man, people blow up, literally.
All right, so I'll ease back a little bit. That's unfair to compare it to Mario Kart. I'm excited to
could be.
see that it could be Mario Kart. Let's say that.
Yeah.
Let's just say it'll probably be the DK racing of.
It'll probably suck. Come on, you guys are killing this for
It'll
me.
be
I'm
the
so
Crash
excited.
Bandicoot.
Now I don't even want to play it. I'm not even installing it now. I'll let you guys just tell me what happens.
It'll probably be overpriced anyways.
It's,
so.
no, it's free. They said
We're just
it's
some cheap Android.
That's overpriced.
Yeah, with a whole crap ton of ads.
yeah, exactly. $4 for the HD version. What? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I was just gonna say my app because
Oh,
it's
go.
already 723. Anyways, I wanted to talk about Netflix 3.0, which got leaked today. It's I know it's rolling out very slowly through Google Play to users. Netflix 3.0 is awesome compared to the version that most people have on their devices right now, which is crap. That version, I think, is 2.3. It's extremely laggy, slow, and it's jittery throughout the entire experience. It's really awful. 3.0 brings a whole bunch of new performance tweaks, so it's smooth. It actually scrolls like a real app should, which is nice. Has a Hamburger navigation menu over here on the left side now, which you can drag out from anywhere in the app to get to your categories.
It's a hot dog on Android.
Hot dog on it? Okay.
Just saying.
Yeah.
I hate the term hamburger menu.
It's Hamburger menu.
Called a meat stack.
Yeah, it's a meat
That's all
stack.
kids are calling it.
That's
Meat stack menu. Tap your meat stack. No, nobody listens to Back to Work. Oh,
no,
it's a podcast. I forgot you guys denied.
Yeah, we don't do podcasts.
The heck's a podcast. So Netflix 3.0. Beyond, if you use Netflix, be sure to keep your eye out on Google Play for the update. Or I know it's on the web somewhere, so if you want to go find it, you can do that. Just Netflix 3.0 APK. I'm sure you'll find it. So it's great. Sideload it. Root your device. Hack it. Do everything you can because it's Android, baby. We're free.
Yeah. Put Launcher Pro back on there, even though it won't run. It'll be great.
It might.
I tried. It doesn't
I
work.
could
on
run like a
mine.
Froyo
Oh, really?
emulator on my phone.
It can't be still listed. Is there actual listing for Launcher?
I don't think it's listed, but if you had it before, you can still.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
You could still find it. Previous
Yeah.
install.
Yeah. If you bought the Pro, I bought Pro twice. Gosh,
There she
money,
is.
Money
Launcher
wasted.
Pro. No, it's listed.
Because I had it. I had
Link
the
in the
original before I
chat.
had it in the Play Store, so you had to type in the code.
Yeah.
I remember when the
look at
somebody
this.
was theming the Launcher Pro widgets, and so you could install all these different colors and styles, and it was a big deal because it only had certain widgets that came with it. Because I don't think
Yeah,
other
you had the
widgets
Twitter
really
widget
worked.
and a Facebook widget, which were lousy.
And he had a Gmail widget that got axed immediately by
Yeah.
Google. Yeah.
Yeah.
Launcher Pro still has a
Back in the
4.5 star rating. I mean, it
Yeah, it does.
still
Wait,
gets
you
up.
found
Oh,
it?
Yeah, it's right
listed.
there. Oh yeah, and it had the sense pinching that it jacked. That's right.
Yeah. It's cool, man.
That's right.
It was
Look at
fun.
that
About
thing.
Those are the days.
252,000 reviews.
I miss it.
Wait, it actually has 36,000 plus ones on Google Plus. This thing was gone long before Google
Oh,
Plus
yeah.
ever existed.
I'm playing one right now. I'm
It's
doing it right
back.
now.
Who is plus wanting that thing?
I'm gonna plus one it right now, man.
I'm doing it right
Getting all
now.
over that.
Put it on the Note
I
3.
want my circles to know what I like.
Yeah.
Look at those
I know.
screenshots, man. That was Android. Look at that.
It's beautiful, right? I
Plus
miss it.
wanting. Oh, MKBHD plus one did.
I saw that, yeah. That must have been old school.
I'm
Last
sure.
updated in May of 2011.
That was so long ago. 10 to 50 million people had that thing. Good times.
Good times.
Good times.
All right, is that it?
You guys, you guys got anything else you want to throw out there before we wrap?
Totally just installed it. Launcher Pro is up and running on the notebook.
Oh, you gotta work on yours.
And
Hey.
it's totally sick. I love it.
How'd you get that many icons in your launcher, man?
I don't know, man. This is neat.
Oh yeah, and you had to have like the special icons that were the white transparent looking things, so that way it would look good.
This is great. All right,
it's seriously working.
Oh, it works. Yeah.
Everybody install it. I'll have to try and get it on.
I'll write Feta and try and bring him back to get that rewrite going. See what I can do.
You'll work on the rewrite.
Yeah, let's see what his last what was it? LauncherPro.com. LauncherPro.com.
Oh, long time ago.
Is it still live? Is he still paying for that domain? Yeah, he is. July 9th.
Is he really?
Yeah.
July 9th of what?
2011 probably.
Oh, and that's the upcoming changes to Gmail app. He's got the bad news about that.
Oh.
Oh
That's
man.
awesome.
Well.
And that WordPress theme. It's a classic.
Thanks for joining, guys.
Yeah, thanks for joining. Tim has to go attend to a ghost in his pantry.
Yeah, I gotta go see it. 3030. Apparently, there's a ghost.
His pantry geist.
My pantry ghost.
Yeah, pantry geist. All right, cool. Thanks for joining us. Episode 39. We will be back probably next week. Who knows? Maybe there's more KitKat trolling that we need to talk about. So, all right, thanks for joining us. We're out. Peace.
Peace.